Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Disaster Artist, starring James Franco, Dave Franco, Seth Rogen, Alison Brie, Zac Efron, and Paul Scheer, and directed by James Franco himself. Now, I'll get to my first time opinion once I rate the movie, but I'm going to just get to this movie right away. I like this movie's open. The movie opens with many celebrities like Kristen Bell, Adam Scott, Lizzie Kaplan, and J.J. Abrams talk about The Room like it was unforgettably bad, despite that this is a movie about how they make The Room, and Tommy Wiseau, it's like he inspired comedians to make more movies like this. Next scene is we meet Greg Sestero, played by Dave Franco, in a classroom for acting students, and both he and his acting partner are either way too stiff, that's the partner, and Greg acts like a chicken on stage. Cheep, 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 cheep. Okay, that's enough. Meanwhile, we meet the man himself, Tommy Wiseau, played by Dave's brother James Franco, and his scene partner Bobby, played by Zoe Deutch, who's worked with James Franco before in Why Him, as well as some other movies like Vampire Academy, Dirty Grandpa, and Everybody Wants Some. And I'm a fan of this actress in general. In two of the four movies I liked, try to guess which one I didn't try to guess which one I didn't like in the comment section below. But I related to Tommy because he reminds me of myself in a way. I want to be an actor in the movies like both him and Greg. I related to both of them because in different ways and that's a great thing, but I have to confess, James Franco is trying to sound like a retarded version of Tommy Wiseau. And to be clear, I like Tommy's voice better than James Franco's version of his voice, because he's so fucking hard to understand. But don't get me wrong, I like the character, but it's so hard to understand him at times. Tommy is a very mysterious character, even though he's from New Orleans. We don't know when he was born, and we don't know much about him except for he's inspired by Marlon Brando and acts Shakespeare and loves football like it's the greatest game ever. And he has a place in San Francisco and Los Angeles, both in California, where both he and Greg moved to after 18 minutes after the movie starts. And I like that about the character. So Tommy and Greg make a pinky swear before moving to LA to push each other and become famous, and they have each other's back. And I thought that was a good moment of the film, and it's going to go on again and again and throughout the movie. Greg gets an agent, and both he and Tommy are celebrating at a bar with a club attached, and meets Amber, played by Alison Brie, who I reviewed in 3 different movies. 1 is this one, 2 is the Lego Movie, and 3 is The Post. And I'm starting to become a fan of hers, and I like her character. Tommy will get the fact that he looks like a villain in a fairy tale because of his look, and he even runs into Judd Apatow, which one of these days, if he does another directing film, I'm not doing his filmography, but he comes off like a dick because even though I get that he's having dinner with someone, and I get he wants privacy, but he comes off like an asshole to Tommy by saying he'll never have a chance. It's 1 in a million, which is unfortunately true, but for everyone, but I hated that whole sequence. Tommy writes a script called The Room, which he believes will be Tennessee Williams' dramatic script, and makes Greg the first person to read the script and buys the camera equipment, meets Sandy Slayer, played by Seth Rogen, who I always had trouble liking. And maybe this is his 4th place performance, is the best one. 1 is The 40-Year-Old Virgin. 2 is Knocked Up. 3 is that Steve Jobs remake with Michael Fassbender. And this is number 4. I've never been the biggest fan of him in general, and we also meet Juliette Danielle, played by Ari Grainer, who's another actress I'm not a fan of either. I've seen her in a couple of movies like The Sitter and For a Good Time Call, and she's, I hate to say it, she's just, I don't know how to say it, not very attractive to me. No offense to Miss Grainer. And we get introduced to a kid who plays Denny, who's played by Josh Hutcherson from the Hunger Games films, and the guy who plays Chris R., played by Zac Efron. And I really like both actors. These sequences are great fun. The filming repeatedly of the line of the movie, "I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark," was the best scene in this whole movie, even though it was in the trailer. Then the after credit scene is everyone's reaction of the movie. That scene was absolutely great. Tommy gets told by Greg and Amber about them moving in together, and Tommy is pissed about it and acts out of control on the set and tells Juliet about her birthmarks, or maybe it's the pimples, I don't know what it was, and treats her badly. Even Greg notices how fucking badly he treats her and doesn't turn on the air conditioning and no water, which is so bad of a director to give out no air conditioning or no water. Like, why is he being so bad to his actors? Because he's making a disastrous movie. Greg and Amber run into Bryan Cranston, who was also in Why Him with James Franco and Zoe Deutch, who was in Malcolm in the Middle at the time this movie takes place, and Greg gets offered a part of Malcolm in the Middle as a lumberjack, and tries to tell Tommy about it in front of Amber, and he says no, Tommy does, and makes him choose between Malcolm in the Middle and the movie. And I thought, Tommy is a real fucking asshole. And Greg tries to tells him to fuck off while playing football in a scene from The Room near the end, and quits the movie, and that's probably the right thing to do until months later. Tommy finds him at the theater where he acts and plays, and I did not like those moments at the movie, but I did like how they just kept him in the movie after all. And yeah, you get the point. The scene of the movie theater, the screening of The Room, and everybody in the audience is busting up laughing, enjoying it despite how bad the movie really is. And Tommy is really upset about that, and he thinks he will never be famous after this movie bombs, but everyone actually loved how bad this movie really is. And by the end of it, and he admires that attention. I do like the comparisons of The Room and this movie. It was a great way to show the differences of how I love how they turned out, just in general. We get an after-credits scene with Franco's Tommy Wiseau versus the real Tommy Wiseau, and I love the scene between them. And the way Franco's Tommy says, "My name's Tom, and we'll capital go away," and the real Tommy Wiseau says, "Oh, hi, Betty." It was really funny. So, let's get to the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.3 out of 10. I'm going to just confess this now, guys. At first, I didn't like the movie, but now that I watched The Room right before this movie, I like this autobiography, and The Room is much more amusing, but this is a much better movie by all means, and I appreciate this movie's after watching The Room, and I recommend checking The Room out before watching this movie, and you check this one out. And if you've seen The Room and haven't seen this yet, go check it out in general. Just really, go check it out. Check out this fucking movie. I mean, really. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and before I say goodbye, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please be sure to subscribe, watch some more videos, and please leave a positive comment at the bottom. And until next time, my name is Tommy with capital Go away.